Welcome to the Outstanding Shift podcast with your host, Andrew Evans from Rosby Financial. I'm your producer, RJ Malik. Andrew, as always, great to see you. I see you've got your guest ready to go. So why don't you introduce him and then tell us what you're going to be discussing on this edition of the Outstanding Shift podcast.
Absolutely. I think anybody who is watching or at least just looked at the titles of this one, you'll see that we have the H. Adam Holt of Asset Map joining us today. And man needs no introduction. Everybody knows Asset Map. It's just been catching fire. It's building. It's been growing year over year. Just a fantastic program to help advisors advance forward. So, Adam, say hello to our guests. And what's the H stand for?
Hello, guests. The H stands for the name Heath, which is my first legal name. The joke that my mom played on me to be cool. Yes, that's what it is. Heath.
You know, there's not a lot. There really aren't a lot of Heaths out there.
I know.
And I always think of there was one of my most favorite Heaths. Now, you might not know this, but I'm from Pittsburgh.
Okay.
So even though I'm not in Pittsburgh, so my favorite Heath is Heath Miller, not a Heath Barr. Okay.
Okay.
Heath Miller, tight end.
Oh, I got
should be in for the Steelers. That was my favorite Heath.
There you go. Well, it's funny. Heath was a namesake. Obviously, unfortunately my mother's brother passed before I was born, and so the namesake was H. But she wanted to name me H. Adam Holt. It turns out that the nurse at the time of giving me my birth certificate said we have to give him a name. We can't just give him an initial. And so my parents came up with Heath, thinking it would never be used. But of course, every single application for the rest of your life needs your first name. So that is the joke. Everyone calls me Heath when they first meet me, and then they have to learn that I'm called Adam. So that's why I call it the joke my mom has played on me forever.
See, now if you were born in the late 90s into the 2000s, you could have been named Blanket or Apple.
Oh, that is true.
You could have one of those kinds of
That's
things,
right. Then I would be B. Adam Holt. I would be B.
That's right. See?
What's the B stand for? Blanket.
Blanket Adam Holt.
No, I'm a 70s kid.
Who isn't really?
I don't. All the other ones that are not 70 kids. Yeah.
Well, I'll be told. I'm actually I'm an 80s kid. I'm right on the edge. I'm either the oldest millennial or I'm the youngest Gen Xer because I'm an August 80 baby.
Got it.
So, but my siblings are older than me, so I really pull Gen X.
You're somewhere in the XY. Got it. All right, I got it.
Yeah, exactly. But so with all of our introductions there, Adam, we were talking about before about Asset Map, and I think a great story which some people might not know anymore is what is Asset Map, but where did it come from? How'd you do it? How'd you make this magic?
It's so funny. I've been asked these questions for the years. Of course, a question, why did I do this? Why did I do this to myself? I always joke, Andrew, that I'm a recovering financial advisor, 27 years, believe it or not. Actually, this is my 28th year since I started in the financial planning business. And like most of us, I started on the sales side in insurance and then found my way into financial planning. And somewhere along that way, I realized as I worked in wealthier and wealthier clients that the real challenge was not the analysis. The analysis, I loved doing it. It made me feel good and strong. And I understood how people should change their lives and invest differently, insure differently. But the irony is that the clients never read any of my awesome 80-page financial planning reports, right? That was not a sales presentation, but
why wouldn't they read it?
I don't know why because they wanted to know what it said. They didn't want the recipe. They wanted the meal, right? So I think for me, I realized that I needed a way to help myself and my staff understand the complexity. So I would make these drawings, a visualization of their people, everyone who was connected to them at the family level, right? Themselves, the generation 2, their business partners, the companies they own, whatever complexity they had. And then do a relationship diagram that showed all their financial inventory, not just assets, but also incomes and insurances and liabilities. And I would tie them to the people. And then I needed to know where they were located. So it wound up becoming this treasure map. And I standardized it for myself so that I could draw it at any meeting instantly on a board or on a piece of paper. And one year I started making these things prettier and prettier for myself. I had a staff member, a client reached across the table and said, "What is this thing you're drawing on all the time?" He looked at the map and he said, "Take all this other stuff home with you. I don't want any of those big reports. They're not reading them. My wife doesn't understand it. I can take this map home. I can explain what's going on in our life. And now she'll finally appreciate this analysis that you're doing for us." I said, "Okay." I gave it to him. I got it compliance approved. It took another 2 years and I tripled my revenue as an advisor. So I tripled it the first year. I did it again. I tripled again. And then I tripled a third year in a row. And all of a sudden in my 30s, I was an advisor doing pretty well, in the top 50 of my broker dealers, a huge broker dealer. And I said, gosh, I should invest in technology. In 2009, I started Asset Map, basically, and I invested all kinds of money. I didn't know what I was doing, Andrew. And I blew almost millions of dollars of my own money, like building this tech just for myself, but I made it back in the business. And it wasn't until 2012 that I showed it on stage and other advisors said, I have the same problem. So the necessity of it actually drove the demand. I didn't plan on it giving away my best practice. Now there's 7,500 advisors with 2.5 million people on the platform. So it's over a long period of time, I think people saw the vision of it and now they can't unsee it. So that's where Asset Map came from.
Well, it's really, if we distill it down, this is not making light of it, but what did you do? You said, I'm going to show, not tell.
Yeah.
That's what you did. You said, hey, you want to get there, or this is what you have? You know, most people say, oh, this is going down the line. You're like, yeah, okay, but like, look, this is just how it is. And it just exploded from there, just more and more and more. So in that process, like it's talking about improving that client engagement. Okay, because now you're going to be getting the outstanding shift question. You ready for this, Adam? Okay, Adam Holt, if you're ready for it.
I'm ready.
Okay,
go.
So with those ideas of how you tripled, how you are showing, not telling. And now you have this, and and you have all these users. What are we getting wrong as an industry that we shouldn't be, based on this idea? Like, why are we getting this so wrong to just be able to deliver to a client, this is who you are, this is what you have, this is what we're doing? Why are we so bad at that?
You know, it's an interesting question. I have probably 15 different answers, but if I was to try to...
You're giving us all 15.
I'm going to give you all 15? Okay.
Yeah, we're going to this is going to be a multi-episode. No, I'm just kidding. Give us the one that's the most fun.
Well, look, I think...
whatever you'd like.
We get... When you position as a professional advisor, you have to earn credibility, right? At the end of the day, if the client doesn't trust you, believe you have their best interest. One of my coaches told it to me great. He said, in a consultative sales process, you have to prove to the client. Notice I say prove to the client that, number one, you know me, what I care about, what I value, why I'm here. Number two, you need to know my situation. What's the current state I'm in, and am I in a good place, not a good place? Am I okay? Am I not? And then the third part, you need to know my options. By the way, you notice I didn't say one option. You need to know my options. You might have a preference for which direction I take, but you need to give me options. You should go left or right. I think the evidence says we should go right, but what do you want to do? And I think for the most part, financial planning became a process of helping conclude a sale into a specific direction. So what happened is I did a KYC and data gathering. All right. Prove that I know you. Never gave it back to you, but I collected all that. I put it into an analysis. I spent hours and hours doing this analysis, and the analysis overwhelms you. You still don't understand it. So I think I'm building credibility. And then it tells you should go buy some life insurance, or I should manage your money. And the client was so overwhelmed and intimidated that were they really engaged?
Yeah.
No, they were sold with complexity. And I think we did a service because we basically sold into their fear, which is that I understand everything and you're not going to understand it, which is why I need to charge you X% or X commission. And it just blew up our practice in a revenue side. And the clients were like, wow.
Did you feel like, okay, so
that's why that was the
came
antithesis.
from.
That's what I wanted to break.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point. That I still think we have remnant of that, because it sounds like, without saying it, perhaps that a lot of the planning and so forth, sell on complexity. The first thing you said was life insurance, because I think that's probably where things came from first. Is that it was a life push, because it was really the life the life agencies, the life owned broker dealers really were the first that
Mm-hmm.
went into financial planning. Here on my 20 some years in the business,
Yeah.
some of the absolute best planners I
Mm-hmm.
know started in insurance. They didn't start in
Yeah.
investments.
You know why
Most
though,
of
right?
them started. Go ahead.
Well, insurance, I've talked about this well too many times, but I hope people resonate with this because if you started an investment, so wirehouse, you were taught to sold based upon replacing allocation, right? Your fees are too expensive. You got crappy tax loss harvesting. We can change your portfolio and do better for you, right? It's a performance and fee argument. So when I do fact finding, know me, what do I need? I need your statements. I don't care about your family. When I sell life insurance, you're motivated by the family. It's all a fact finding. The sale is made in the fact finding. So if I understand that you've got a kid and so you got a mortgage and you got dependencies and you've got a business, it justifies the sale ultimately because I
Mhm.
uncover the real wound. And then the investments become ancillary. And that's why insurance guys tend to stay in their lane, insurance annuity, because they're selling the fear versus
Mhm.
investment guys were selling the possibility, and those two things were always bifurcated for the longest time. It was interesting in 2016, the CFP actually funded a survey from AITE, and they indicated that if a CFP made 50% more revenue than a non CFP. And why was that? Because, Andrew, they went through a process that was holistic, built more
Mhm.
credibility, sold more things to the same people. They sold the insurance and the
Mhm.
investments, the annuity and the fees. So
Yep.
not surprising banking gets into it. The big push for so many advisors or salespeople to go from advice-led sales into financial planning is because it just made academic sense. And nobody wanted
Mhm.
to work with a salesperson anymore. They want to work with a professional advisor. But the fundamental compensation never changed. And that's the irony behind the business. Now, that being said, leaving that in a box, right, for the
It's
outstanding
okay.
shift, that is the dynamic we're in. The monetization of our business is still in asset gathering or premium gathering. It's still there.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
question is the
there's a
consumer.
lot of
Yeah.
there's a lot of folk now. You can run. Time was when you could not, but now you can run a pretty darn successful planning
That's true.
only business, for that very reason. And I find it interesting. Like what we're talking about. It's it's really interesting to look back on the last 30, 40 years of the industry, because what we're finally doing in the last, say, 10, 15 years
Mhm.
is what had been happening in major sales organizations for years and years and years, inside of Philips and Xerox and name another one, Alps and so forth.
Mhm.
That it's a consultative sale. Excellent salespeople listen; they don't talk.
That's true.
And it was only in the last, I feel like, in the last 15 years that our industry started to catch on to that. Is like, no, you have to ask questions, and not just the well, I'll call it the bastardized open-ended questions.
Mm.
Is that there's a great book. If nobody ever read it, this is my recommendation to read a book.
What is it?
It's not a recommendation to buy it, but it's at least recommendation to read it. It is called Spin Selling
Mm.
by Neil Rackham. So Neil Rackham did all their scientific research of all of these big sales organizations back in the 70s, and he figured out why are some companies better than others in sales and growth and development, everything like that. And it came down to an acronym called SPIN. And the SPIN is
Mhm.
situation, problem, implication, need slash payoff.
Mm.
You have to figure out what's going
Yeah.
on. Then once you know everything, that, like, what the situation is, now you can figure out what the problem is. Okay, this is the problem. Now, what's the implication of that problem?
Mhm.
And then you say, yes, but if I can give you something that takes care of this,
Yeah.
wouldn't you buy it? And that's really what what we were just talking about before
Mm-hmm.
is how does that consultative approach, not that we're turning this into like a big sales conversation, but it's naturally that way, is that a program like Asset Map lets you formulate your situation
Mm,
perfectly so that you could get to the root of this client's problem to help them solve it.
yeah.
That's the point.
I think you hit on
That's
the
what
head.
makes it.
I think with the number of asset maps now we've seen, uh, sometimes just putting somebody's truth in front of them in a conversation that has no judgment and but has empathy and the opportunity to help is exactly
Yes.
what people are looking for. The challenge is when a consumer comes to an advisor professional, they don't always know the questions to ask, just like AI, right? If you don't prompt it correct, you're going to get crappy answers.
Mhm.
And so when you go and you just reveal your financial closet, you dump it out on the bed, and an advisor organizes it and says, "Hey, why do you have this? Have you thought about how this serves you?" Well, you know what? I bought it years ago. It doesn't fit. My cousin sold it to me. The guy on the golf course told me the guy like we wind up collecting and hoarding, just like in our basement, financial stuff that nobody's actually inspected or held accountable for years. But when you reveal it, now we get to have an honest conversation. Like, I see you have 4 IRAs. Why do you have 4 IRAs? I left it at my old employer. I never rolled it. I thought I couldn't commingle it. I don't know why. Well, who's managing it?
The bank gave me
Nobody.
a $500 credit.
Yeah.
I got a better CD rate. Whatever it is.
Yeah.
I got a
Right.
toaster.
If you were making those choices today, you might not make the same choice. And if I can now help you make a better decision, do you want me to help you here or no? And if they say no, you move on. But the key is that I think if we can get very quickly, Andrew, to a place of intention. Does this serve us or not? Do we know why we have this? Is this cost? And once we get permission to do that, now we can bring our, what I call advisor intelligence to the table and say, hey, this is what you could do this or that. Have you thought about this? Let me help you get this
Mhm.
fixed. Let me just fix this.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So are you finding now obviously you have a wonderful um sample size
Mm,
to go from in years and users. Are you finding there is one feature that rises above all the others of Asset Map, or
mm.
are you now starting to get some questions about how to advance Asset Map with a little bit of a leading question here you mentioned before as to how is AI impacting it? So what's
AI.
here in the future?
What is AI? Just kidding.
That's some guy down the road. Don't worry about him.
Albert Einstein? Is that what it is?
Albert intuitive a dot I.
Yeah, A dot
So
I.
it's your cousin.
You heard it already. I've been joking a lot recently. I said we don't need to compete with AI. We need to compete with the original AI, which is advisor intelligence applied to our clients' lives in real time. That's human empathy, relationship currency, all the things that we've been building for years that hopefully AI, artificial intelligence, is not going to just disintermediate. But yeah, if you look at our product, 97% of our advisors use the asset map report. It's the kind of core function of household visualization in your inventory. Okay. Interactively see the people in your family, remove people, show the trust, don't include the businesses. Like that interactive presentation is still the core of what we do. Awesome. I've seen a couple of companies try to knock it off, but they've like delivered slippers to a dance party. I mean, but okay.
Hmm.
Um, and they missed the real boat. The other thing that really surprises me, get this. So we do have a full complement of financial planning projections, 30-second retirement planning, education funding, life insurance, all that stuff. Okay. But we've really focused recently on speed. Like, can I get to a conversation faster? So on the front end, we enabled advisors to send a link to their prospects and clients, say, hey, do this on your phone in 15 minutes, no PII, no passwords. Just tell me what's going on. We'll build an asset map from that and give it back to you. Okay, great. Reward system. Here's a map of your inventory. But what we can instantly do with that information is we can run algorithms to say red light, green light, yellow light. Like this would be a problem. This would be a problem. This is good. This is good. And the problems I'm talking about are what I call financial fire drills. And I came up with this once on a drive to do a presentation. The guy said, Adam, I don't want you to talk about asset map anymore. Come up with something new on your 4-hour drive here. I'm like, God, what am I come up with? And I came up with this thing, and it literally is like lasted And the financial fire drills are, we also call, I'll tell everybody because they're really important. You can go use this today in your meeting, which is, what are the plans to deal with the 6 events that commonly disrupt all of our good planning? You ready? Here they are. Number 1. If you had a liquidity need, a liquidity crunch, you got to write a big check. Do you know where the cash is? That's emergency reserves. Number 2, if you had a long-term disability, do we know what to do? Do we have the funds? Do we know a plan? Like, run the fire drill. What do you do? Number 3, if you have a loss of life, they all start with the letter L, loss of life. What's our plan? What do we know what we're doing? Does anybody know where to run? Number 4, long-term care. If we have a long-term care event, what's our plan? Are we self-funding? Does anybody know what to do? Number 5, we have a longevity situation. We live too long. What's the plan? How do we make sure we're not going to be in the poorhouse or living with our kids? Number 6, what's our legal or liability exposure? Do we have our documents, right? Estate, went from short to long-term. If somebody attacks us or comes after us, are we protected? Is that an issue? Do we have our legal protections in order? That can mean everything from ownership to documentation. And the reality is that if anyone who thought about those questions as if you were my client right now, and you asked yourself the question, do you have a plan for each of those things? And if the answer is no, or I don't know, we need to discuss it. So we built algorithms to run them on every asset map. And they typically,
okay, Adam,
yeah, go.
I was going to say, like, hit those, because
I'll say it again.
It's great for a clip. It's going to be perfect for the clip as we're doing it. Is like, hey, give us the 6 again. I wrote them down, but give them again.
All right, you got it. So
just the word.
So the 6 L's, as we call them, the financial fire drills, are liquidity, long-term disability, loss of life, long-term care, longevity, and legal or liability attacks.
Perfect. Stop the tape. We're done. That is everybody, every advisor listening. If you don't pick up on that and run with it, I don't know who's going to help you. I mean, you're doing it. Yeah. You're making it happen.
Well, if you're in the business of gathering any kind of form of financial wherewithal, that I can't tell you how much revenue that has brought in. Just running that at the end of every meeting and asking, what's the plan? And do I need to come back with a plan if you don't have one? Because it allows people to say, no, I don't care, right? I don't really care about that situation.
Yeah. See, but like, honestly, like those 6, not just, yes, it can improve your life as an advisor. It can help you develop revenue, everything like that. But like, oh my goodness, like just going through those, like how you can enrich the life of your client, no matter, no matter what stage of life they're in. But if you take care of those 6, that's great. Well, the CFP board should be paying you.
I agree. Adam. They should be paying me. We've actually added 2 L's now. We've actually added asset location. So the exposure to tax deferred assets as your default savings vehicle, and recognition that when you distribute, it's all going to be taxable. I think a lot of people aren't paying attention to managing tax bracket. So we just rolled that out as well inside there. But I think it's really important that advisors recognize that they by design have to educate, right? In order to empower our customers to be more, we'll call it competent, and build confidence in making financial decisions. We can't just always tell them this is what you should do. We need them to we need to teach them to fish, right? And I think asking them important questions and then educating them as to why they're important is really an important aspect of building credibility today. Mm-hmm. Certainly everybody can Google it, but I think it's important. We need to educate without being asked.
Absolutely. Yeah. Do you find now though, where's your time? Are you still maintaining your practice, or do you now have a team that basically does it and you just get to come in and give it a blessing and move on?
I'm the blessing.
You're spending more time on the asset market.
Yeah, I give it the blessing. I actually gave up my practice in 19. I gave up all my licenses because Asset Map was becoming too big and required financing. So we wound up raising capital several times, and that obviously I couldn't be a part of a broker dealer. So I gave up my investment management, but I still have 10 clients or so that have my cell, and they are, we have legacy loyalty, if you will. That means they expect me to be there, whether I like it or not, as long as I'm alive.
What that runs in my head is, years ago, I saw, I'm sure it's come up other places, is that it says, it's about realtors. It says, realtors don't die. They just go listless.
Listless.
So meaning that they don't get listings,
Right,
so
right.
It's like, as financial advisor, like, we don't retire, we don't die.
It's true.
We're just working with a few people on myself.
Well, if I told you my mom is 80 and a realtor and she has more business than she knows what to do with, she can't retire.
That's great. Is that part of that mass wealth transfer that I've been hearing about? So she's picking up on it too. Good for her to be industrious. Just
Yes.
keep going.
She's a worker. She can't stop.
No, why? Well, why?
That's right.
What
Why?
else are you going to
There's
do?
something about purpose that works really well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Adam, we're getting close here to our fun time chat.
Okay.
But so with what you have seen, so very few folk have, I'll say it like this, have had the amount of courage that you have to, one, be in this business,
Hmm.
to grow the business, to then start something else, and then essentially give it up, right? Because you gave up your practice. So
Yeah.
I think there, when I this is just me saying it, but I would think most advisors who had got to that level of business that you did, even with it, they'd be like, I'd never give that up,
Yeah.
but I'm just going to keep riding it. So thinking about those things, I'm going to ask you two questions.
Okay.
So how do you communicate, or what can you say to those advisors who have really hit like a total plateau, and it's like, well, there's nothing else for them to do. It's just more is more. So how do you find joy? How do you find purpose? Talking about, your mom
Yeah.
as well. How do we help them find purpose? And then I'll say, what do you see what's next in the industry? Because now you get to kind of be in it, but outside of it, what do you see coming next?
Oof. Okay. Well, I think it's true that after 20 years in the practice, I was feeling like I had figured it out and it was a new challenge. The asset map technology was definitely a new challenge for me. And thankfully I was blessed enough that it got traction, not without challenge or capital or serious commitment. I definitely sacrificed financially to give up that practice and start over. But I would just encourage everybody, just do what we tell our clients, which is live well below your means and find happiness and security in the things that really matter. And it's not the money. Just, like all our clients we see that are miserable with lots of money, the same thing is true for you. Find your purpose. And, the last 15 so years have been about asset map for me. And just the last 2-3 years, I've been focusing on a whole new project, which is called Rebel Dads, which is to build community for fathers who are entrepreneurs and want to relate and talk to and build a community of like-minded dads who want to focus on being a parent. So that's been my newest purpose project.
And that's huge in of itself. We should
Yeah.
just do another chat about that. Be more than happy.
That
to
is
do
fun.
that
Actually,
too.
we have a book coming out on Father's Day. We interviewed 100 CEOs and asked them how they manage being a leader at home and work, and including Richard Branson and some really famous people.
Oh,
And
wow.
so we're rolling that book out and sharing that with the community this summer. I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's
great.
the thing. I think what's next for our industry is incredibly murky. And I say that only because the AI stuff excites me and scares me every single day. I do believe that we have something in our business that a lot of people have discounted, which is what I call relationship capital. And it's really evidenced by the fact that when an advisor moves from firm to firm, on average, 82% of the assets move with them. And that tells me that clients are loyal and they move with the advisor because of either fear or relationship or endowment or whatever it might be. But the bottom line is that the most important thing is for us to invest in a relationship with our clients, being there with them for the long term. It's the most invaluable asset, but it's also the most fragile one because as people pass on, we might lose our relationship instantly. So I think the real key for us in our business is actually to focus and use this AI leverage to give us more time to really invest back in relationship. Most advisors, they don't necessarily know how to do that or what that means. And I would say for all of you wondering where does AI fit? You should institutionalize AI in your back office and create efficiency and time back. And then use that time savings not to play more golf, but either to find more purpose or to build more relationship. And those are the two best investments I think you can make in yourself and in your practice. So anyway,
Fantastic.
absolutely.
No, fantastic. Great words. Great words
Thanks.
of wisdom. From you've touched everything. You hit upon it. I think we'll get some good clips and we'll do our best to push that out even further. That's awesome.
Cool.
That's fantastic. I don't think anything else needs to be said other than that for now. We could always do it again. We could always have another one.
Okay.
Are you going down to Wealth Management Edge down in Boca this year?
I am not going to Wealth Management Edge that I
Because I
know.
just missed you I missed you at Future Proof. I saw you walking around. I just didn't have a chance to.
I'll be at Future
come and
Proof
say
coming
hey.
up. I know I'm speaking
I'll
at
be there.
Future Proof in Huntington Valley, Huntington, whatever it's called.
Beach.
Yeah, that's where I'm supposed to be. Actually, we're going to be talking
West
about the
Coast.
dad stuff. We're going to be talking about the dads.
Well, I mean, that's better. Nobody wants to hear any more about. Yeah, we know your tech. It's great. Let's hear about something that has purpose.
Yeah. Totally.
Is in depth and meaning. But we'll see you out there if I don't see you before
Cool.
then. But Adam, thanks so much for coming on. Our wonderful producer RJ is he's gonna drum us out. He's gonna play us out.
Okay, thanks.
Well, before you go, Adam, how about some contact information?
Got it. Yeah, absolutely. If you want to get in touch with me, LinkedIn is always the best. So I'm available and I do respond to direct messages in LinkedIn, but otherwise assetmap.com, that's asset-map.com is kind of shows off what we're doing and where we're going.
And Andrew, your contact info.
Yeah, I think everybody's. Did you notice the trend? Everybody starts saying, "Just find me on LinkedIn" anymore. Nobody's giving out emails. So I'll say the same thing. Come find me on LinkedIn. But I love being on the phone as well. Still, I'm that guy. I don't want to text. I don't want a speakerphone. Just call me on the phone. 321-209-0157. You can call me on my cell phone.
Okay. We got a bonus, a little singing from Andrew.
You never know what happens here.
Yeah. Thank you. And most importantly, thank you for listening to the Outstanding Shift podcast. If you have not subscribed to the podcast, please click the subscribe button below. This way, when Andrew and his team comes out with a new podcast, it will show up directly on your listening device. And we humbly ask you to share this podcast, rate it, and leave a review because this actually helps others find it. Again, thank you for listening. And for Andrew, I'm RJ Malik, and we look forward to you joining us for the next Outstanding Shift podcast.
See ya.
Thank you for listening to The Outstanding Shift. Don't forget to hit the follow button to be notified when new episodes become available. Visit our websites at www.ouroffice.team, www.rossbyfinancial.com, or give us a call at 321-209-0111. The information provided in this video is for informational purposes only and does not constitute investment advice or a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance is not indicative of future results. You should consult a qualified financial professional before making any investment decisions.